Back at it again with a live video as promised. There we go. Actually, I'm gonna switch. Okay, let's switch this out. Oh yeah. All right. Welcome back to my live. I know I had one earlier today, so for those of you who missed it, like I promised, having another second one tonight. Julius, what's up? Afrocentric, what's up? What's up? I just ate, so kind of full. How is everyone today? JLA, what's up? Yoon, long time. I haven't watched you. Hurricane Maria left Puerto Rico. Messed up. Wait, JL, are you in Puerto Rico? Like right now? JL, are you in Puerto Rico? I was there during the hurricane, but I left 1 month ago to Florida. Love from Meridian, Mississippi, Devin Brown. Wait. Okay. So when you're in A school, do they give you the option to go like fly home for Christmas? Or how does that work over there? Wide advice for someone moving into an apartment. As far as budgeting goes, Afro, if you can find a roommate, right? Preferably somebody who works nights. So let's say you work days, right? During the day you're at home working, right? And then your roommate, that you find somebody that you trust, that's reliable, that's going to pay rent, half of his rent. You work during the day and you sleep during the night, right? Ideally, you want to find a roommate that works during the night, so they sleep during the day and then work during the night. So it's like you pay half the rent, but you don't really feel like anyone else is at home because you guys work two totally different shifts. So that's the most ideal thing that I would do, that I would recommend. Taking leave tomorrow. Devin Brown. Scumbag J, what's up? Matt Larson, do you know any MR rates? I do not. Wang Bang, welcome back. What's up, bro? Just graduated boot camp on Friday. Your videos really helped a lot, bro. Thank you, man. Thank you for your kind words. Specifically, out of curiosity, like in what part, in what sense? Just to get some idea of like what you applied and stuff like that. Wang Bang, are you home for Christmas or are you in A school right now? Also wondering how I could get my channel at a successful rate like yours. Shout out to all the Ellis's right out there. Afro, in my best opinion, right, you could either do one or two things. You know what, let me make a short segment, snip this out, make a video. 4:35. So Afrocentric asks, how can you make a YouTube channel like the one that I'm running, right? Almost at 10,000 subscribers. As a collective, throughout my all 6 channels, I have over 2 million views, so roughly about 2.5 million, generating right about $300 a month. So from the beginning, right, there's multiple different ways you can run a YouTube channel, right? You know, some people prefer to put out one quality, like high quality video, you know, fully edited, you know, fully pimped out video a week, right? Some people post once a day, right? For me, I prefer to post multiple different contents non-stop, right? In my opinion, it's all about batting averages, okay? If one, in my opinion, if 1 out of 100 videos become viral, that's very successful in my book, right? So I have over 500 videos, and I would say about three of them, three solid ones, are 100,000 views plus, right? One video that I have, I think it's right about at $600,000, 600,000 views. Not on this channel, but on my watch channel. And another one of my videos have 400,000 views, and another one of my videos have like 200,000 or 300,000, 200 or 300 views. So, my style of video making, right? I have a creative mind where whenever I think about something, I like to just put it out. I just put out stuff non-stop, right? And one thing that I want people to understand, quality is very, very subjective, right? JT and Donnie, sometimes says to me like, the quality of your video sucks. But quality is very, very subjective, right? You could, for example, this watch, right? Maybe it's an $80 watch, right? Some people say the quality of this watch sucks. But for me, I've been wearing it for 2 years and nothing's been wrong and I like it. So I would say quality is good, right? This sweater, right? Some people say the quality of the sweater sucks. It looks cheap, it looks stupid. But for me, I like it, right? Quality is subjective. That is also the same thing with a YouTube video. Just, I don't edit my videos all too much, right? I don't, you guys probably noticed that. I don't really edit my videos all too much. So other people, like JT and Donnie might look at my video and say, look, the quality of his video sucks, right? But to me, editing isn't so important. What's important is the message within the video, right? So for example, if Warren Buffett decided to make a YouTube video explaining stocks and he decides not to edit, does that mean the quality of that video sucks? No, right? What's important is the content within the video that defines the quality of the video. So don't focus, what I'm trying to say is don't focus too much on editing a video, right? So many people that I talk to that come to me, they know I have a YouTube channel, they say, I'm not saying the sweater is cheap, Estella. I love the sweater. I'm just using it as an example. So a lot of people that come to me say, Yoon, I want to start a YouTube channel, but I don't have the right laptop. I don't have the camera. I don't know how to edit. And I tell everybody, the way I started with an iPhone 5C, which is, now basically a dinosaur of a phone. And I started with a $50 laptop, right? So in the beginning, I didn't edit at all. By the way, everyone, that's my girlfriend. She gave me this sweater for my birthday. I just called it cheap, but I was just using it as an example. Looks like she's upset, but I don't care. I like it. I like it. But yeah, when you start a YouTube channel, right, the best and the easiest thing that you can do is talk about something that you are familiar with. Like for me, I'm familiar with boot camp, right? I've gone through boot camp. I'm familiar with the Navy life because I'm in the Navy and I'm living the Navy life. So that's one thing that I do, right? Or you could be like me on my watch channel. When I used to work at a watch store, I used to fix and repair watches. I used to make YouTube videos when people came in with a watch and they had problems with it. I familiarized myself on how to solve that problem, and I made a video on how to fix that problem within the watch, right? So, or you could do many different things, right? You could either talk about what you're familiar with or whatever job that you have right now, right? Let's say you work at Walmart, or let's say you work at Target, or let's say you work at McDonald's. Make a video related to that, right? Working at McDonald's or working at Walmart, working at Target, right? And talk about your job, or talk about the process, the journey of finding what you truly want to do. So, I was thinking about a series where I share documenting my journey of finding the thing that I really am passionate about. So there's multiple different things that you could do, in terms of being creative on YouTube. But I know I spent a lot of time on that. Let's get back to the questions. Okay. Shout out to all the LSs. I'm interested in being an LS. Anything to know beforehand, Omar? In my opinion, if I could choose again, I would try to be a CTI. CTI are interpreters. So you go to a school for 9 months to learn a different language. And then if you can't pass the test, then they kind of kick you out and you get put into something else that you might not necessarily want. So there is that kind of risk. But as long as you study, as long as you hit the books and practice the language, you could learn Russian, you could learn I think one was Mandarin, probably not. But there's multiple different languages within that field that you can learn. Okay? If I could go back in time, I would try the CTI route for Korean. So I'm Korean, I speak Korean. I think that would have been much more interesting, being able to interpret and master my native tongue, Korean. Or you're going in and you could learn a second language, right? You know how to speak English. But let's say you learn how to speak Korean or Russian. I think that's in the long term more valuable to you than learning just a temporary skill. So yeah. I'm in A school right now. Now I'm going to leave on the 24th. Is your goal 10K before the end of the year? And that's originally what I planned, but that's not going to happen. I'm not going to get 10,000. I think I'm at 9,600 subscribers. On average, I get right about 300 subscribers, new subscribers each month. So I'm already basically 3/4 there. So I'm definitely not making it December. I'm probably going to make it January or very close to it, which is fine. Devin Brown, so far from what I've learned, Omar, just a lot of paperwork. I personally love it. It's really good for transitioning into civilian world. Yeah. So in terms of LSs, right? I'm an LS, and if I was to start a business, like right now, my job is making sure the paperwork is there, and then I order a ton of stuff, right? In terms of aviation supplies, in terms of parts, very important parts that can be repaired. So I think within like the couple months that I've been doing it, I've ordered at least $1 million worth of stuff. So that's something that I can put on my resume, right? Handled, for the Navy, over $1 million worth of assets, and worded in some way where the business or the company that I would like to work with or potentially like it. You were right. Should have joined the Air Force. That dude, are you in the Navy now? Because I know you've been following me for a very long time. Like, did you go to Navy boot camp or what? If you're interested in getting a degree in business, LS is for you. Yeah, so like Devin said, a lot of people that I know right now as an LS, they're pursuing a logistics specialist degree. There's not a degree that's like exactly a logistics specialist, but some school offer a course called logistics management. So a company, right, always needs materials, like any place does. So logistics management, deals with ordering and making sure parts get to the business, corporate, and stuff like that. So a lot of people pursue that route. leaving for boot camp in less than a month. Sam Jenkins. Sam, are you going into the Navy? Another thing I had to ask was about the views. Is it possible to get more views over time? How would you go about it? Afrocentric, yes. Over time, you are definitely going to get a lot of views. So right now, one of my most popular video, the recruit who tried to punch the instructor in boot camp, when I first put it out, I think for about 6 months, it didn't get any attraction, right? But it started to pick up. It got like 10,000 views one day. And I was trying to figure out why, but I figured it out. What happened was, because I cover such a broad range of topics, right? I cover many, many, many different things. Clayton Filpo, he put out a video. I forget exactly what it was, but it's got like, a couple 100,000 views. That video was very similar to my video. And basically, I coattailed him. He put out a video, and his audience saw that it was a related search to my video, and a lot of his audience came to my video, and that video has been sitting there for like 6 months. But then, one day it hit 10,000 views, and then, it started to like, build traction from there. So, your video could be put out now, but it could go viral a couple months down the road or a couple years down the road. For anyone leaving for boot camp soon, P-Days is really bad, as people say it is. Which boot camp is easiest from what you've heard? Probably, definitely. If Army, Marines, they're very physical. So I would not prefer that. I would say Air Force and Navy are probably the easiest. Are you deployed or stationed somewhere right now? Right now, I'm home in Pennsylvania, but I am stationed with the USS Abraham Lincoln. Alright. Would you ever want to cross-rate? I mean, if I was going to make the military my career, I would consider it, but cross-rating is not as easy as you might think or as your recruiters say it is, okay? To give you an example, right now in my ship, right, let's say, one of the original jobs that I wanted to have was an MC, mass communication specialist, right? Where, MCs make videos, post articles, take pictures of the ship, right? And I think I have that interest because, you can see my YouTube channel, over 500 videos. That's along the line of my interest, right? And I think I would have loved that job, but my recruiter, lied to me. Long story short, I ended up as an LS. And if I was to right now try to cross-rate into MCs, Estella, I was using this as an example. I'm not saying it was stupid. But anyway, going back to I'm an LS, if I was to try and cross-rate to an MC, my ship right now needs more LSs, right? They don't need any more MCs. So they're not going to let me cross-rate. Right? And the thing is, your recruiter will tell you right now, oh, after 2 years you can cross-rate, right? He's going to basically make it sound like it's a simple transition. You sign a piece of paper and then boom, you're an MC, or boom, you cross-rate into something else. But guys, that is not the case, okay? It's a lot of work to try to cross-rate. If I was to try to cross-rate into MC as an LS, number one, right now, my ship, it's a no-go. They're not going to let anybody cross-rate out of LS, right? Because LS is needed. And if I was able to, even then, right, I have to do my job as an LS. At the same time, after work, I have to help the MCs do their job, right? I have to prove myself, say like, hey, I'm able to do this. So what do I have to do? I have to go out, take pictures, make stories, and be able to do a much of different things. just to be even considered, then they can decide whether or not to accept me as an MC or not after much going through multiple different paperworks. So this is not an easy 1, 2, 3 step process. So hopefully I clarified that. All right, I think I caught up to the questions. Whew. So I haven't. Anyone got a question? Anyone else? I'm trying to find like questions where I can feature it in separate segments. That's my goal. Can you take leave while your ship is underway? It depends. It depends. If it's, you know what? Let me feature that question. 21DEC17. So Anne asks, can you take leave while your ship is underway? AKA out at sea. So it depends. Okay. For example, let's say if it's not a important underway, okay, if it's not doing anything too in particular, right? So for example, I'm an LS, right? Let's say my ship, for example, it was gonna go underway for 5 days, right? Within 5 days, not a lot of things are going to be done, okay? Not a lot of important tasks it's not going to be busy, okay, is what I'm trying to say. It's not going to be busy within those 5 days, right? And for example, let's say there's one let me rephrase that. Like I said, within 5 days, let's say it's just to test out, the ship is just out there in the water to test out its maneuvering abilities, right? Just for example. Within 5 days, right, they're not really going to need me. I am not a essential personnel, right? In that reason, yes, they might and even allow you to take leave, right? And even then, you need to have a pretty good reason, right? So for example, let's say it's your grandma's 80th birthday, which is, a big deal, right? Then they might consider you being able to take leave, right? But if it's not anything too important, right? You just want to take leave for the sake of leaving, then, they're not really going to allow it. I'm getting distracted. But yeah, okay. If it's a very, very important underway, for example, let's say, I deal with aviation parts, right? Ordering and, doing the paperwork for aircraft parts, right? Let's say within the 5 days of underway, there's like 10 aircrafts coming in and out, and at any moment, one of them could break apart. Then I become an essential personnel because there's only a handful of people that can do what I do, right? And I'm the designated primary person for a particular job, right? So in that sense, I am very much needed to be in the ship out at sea just for that 5-day period, and they're not going to want me to take any days of leave unless it's a once in a lifetime event, right? So for example, let's say my grandmother passed away, then, it's a once in a lifetime, event, and it's, it's death in the family. Then they're going to allow me to take leave. But, let's say, it's my mom's 45th birthday, then they're not going to let me go. So to take leave during the underway, it depends on the underway, and it depends on if you are needed, and it depends on the reason for leave. Okay, I know that was kind of scatterbrained. I was very distracted because my parents are talking, and I was trying to like listen at the same time. But anyway, okay. How long is CS school? Because I've heard 5 weeks or 9 weeks, so I don't know. Deshaun, I think it's not even, definitely not 9 weeks. It's only a couple of weeks from if I can remember correctly. I sleep and talk to a lot of CSs. It's only a couple of weeks, like 2 or 3 maybe even less. Are you on leave? Yes, I am in my room in Pennsylvania. Can you join with a GED? Ron Souza, yes. If you make 20,000K a year, how do you only save 10K in 2 years? Styler's team. Believe it or not, as much as I spend, I still as much as I save, I spend money too. Last year went to Korea, spent a couple thousands there. This year went to Disney World, spent a couple thousands there, and then next year going to Brazil, and I bought for Christmas my parents a very nice gift. And that's major vacations, right? So all total, that's about $7,000. And in between, like Christmas gifts, clothes, traveling fees. When I go home for the weekend, sometimes if I have a 96-hour Liberty or 72-hour Liberty, if it's like a special holiday, sometimes I'll rent a car, go home, and I'll do that a couple times a year. So everything adds up, right? I have it all. I have every single thing, every single transaction that I've ever made written down on my Excel spreadsheet. I could go over it, but I'm not going to. But yeah. Styler team. How do you do after basic? What do you do after basic training? You go to A school. How is the food in the Navy? Hitwashi. The food in the Navy, it gets very boring. It's the same thing over and over. Tuesdays are Taco Tuesdays. Wednesdays are Burger Wednesdays. They have the same menu 365 days a year. Every single, not on a every single day basis, but they have, let's say, about 20 different recipes, and they try to make variations, and it gets very repetitive. And the quality of the food isn't all too great, so the taste is not great, but it's sometimes not bad. And it's like, if 10 is like a high quality restaurant and 1 is eating off from the floor, it's right about at a 5. It's right about at a 5, solid 5. So it's not great, not bad. It's just acceptable. Like, you eat it because you're hungry. But yeah. How is LSA school? I loved it, Elvins. I loved my time in A school, Meridian, Mississippi. I love the facility, the countryside, raccoons and toads everywhere. And I was the CEO for my fleet. Fleet is basically like a group of different jobs, different rates all together. And then I was the leader of that. I think it was about 100 people. So I really enjoyed my time, and I highly recommend anybody to try to be an RPOC, AROC, Master at Arms in boot camp. And when you get to A school, take some leadership position and try to build up your leadership skills very early on. Do you prefer being on a ship that's in the yard or active? And so I've been on both, right? USS Abraham Lincoln. When I first got to it, I was on the yards, right? I was in the yards for about a year and a half, where there's contractors, civilians that are contracted through the military, that come into the ship and work, and they dirty up the place, they take crap and pee within the ship and, get away with it. And I'm, it's my ship is becoming very active, right? They're training right now to be able to go on a deployment. So, as much as I hate the yards, because the people, like the contractors and all that is dirty, and the environment is dirty and it's dangerous because over time they don't clean or anything. As much as I hate that, I really enjoyed my time at the yards because I was given the freedom, right? When the ship is active, right, you go on a bunch of different underways, and you work 12-hour days, 13-hour days, 14-hour days, 15-hour days, and over time it sucks, right? Because you work such long hours, but within that you learn a lot and you're able to live life like a sailor. But I much more prefer a comfortable life, not working 12 hours a day. I would just rather work, a simple 8 hours a day, go home, be able to do my stuff. But yeah. Is it true you gain weight in basic training? Ron, some people do, some people don't. Some people do, some people don't. Some people do, some people don't. Can you jump off the ship and go for a swim? Luke, no. No. If they allow it, if they have what's called a swim call, then yes, but just on a normal basis, no, you're not allowed to just jump off the ship. And do you find yourself eating a lot to get away from the food in the ship the Navy gives you? Yeah. So for the person who asked me, why was I only able to, so Styler, who asked me, why didn't I save a lot of money, was because as much as I can, I try to eat outside the ship. And you might think, oh, when you're in the Navy, you can just eat the food within the ship and you save a lot of money, and you might think that's, easy. And I thought so too, believe me. And as much as I want to do that, eating the food in the ship it's very painful. It's very, very painful. And in short, the CSs, they're overworked. Hands down, they're overworked. Overworked, underappreciated. And as much as they are skilled, right, they've been up for 12 hours cooking, doing the same thing every single day. And some of them are not the most cleanliest people in the world, guys. Like, I see these CSs. A lot of them go to the bathroom, take a dump, pee, go out without washing their hands. And some of them are just not the cleanliest of them all. Not to say that's for everybody. There's certainly individuals that are clean, and a lot of people, individuals that are not clean, and a lot of people that are clean. But yeah, you have to really actually do it every single day, eat the food in the ship every single day to really understand what I mean. So, as much as I can, I always go out to a restaurant at the end of the day and eat somewhere. And that's, typically anywhere from like $20 a day. Have you been to other countries? And if so, which one? With the Navy and the ship? No. On my vacation, yes, I went to Korea. Took 29 days of leave in 2016. Bought my plane ticket, bought my parents' plane ticket, went to Korea, had a blast. Been there for the first time in 15 years since I left Korea when I was 8. So, would you go back to school and become an officer? Christian Wright. So, let me feature that in a question. I answered that earlier on today, but I'm going to get it off from this video. So Christian asks, okay, let me redo that. So Christian asks, would you go back to school and become an officer? So what I'm doing right now, guys, is later on I'm gonna download this video and then cut this question and then create a separate segment where it's like a minute or 2 long video. You will see. But anyway, to answer the question, yes, recently I have seriously considered being an officer. About 2 weeks ago, I asked myself a question. If I was to be extremely patient in terms of success and making money, what would I do? And one of the strategies I thought about was becoming an officer. Now, certainly, I do not want to be an officer in the Army, in the Marines, right? I'm not a combat person, and I do not want the slightest chance of being boots on ground, shooting people. That's just not me, right? I'm a paper pusher. I love paperwork, right? Uh, so if I was to become an officer after my military career of 5 years, so 2020 June, after I get out, I would go back to school using my GI Bill, then come back and try to be an officer within the Air Force as their logistics officer. And in the long term, right, I thought about this. My family have pretty good genetics, right? My great-grandmother lived till 98, and she only passed away because she injured herself. She hit her head. My grandma right now is 80 years of age. I think she can live till 90. I don't think she can go any further than that because she has diabetes. But without it, I think she could have lived till 100 easily. So I have pretty good genetics. I'm going to live, as long as I maintain my health and, eat right and don't get injured and nothing happens to me, right? I think I can live, let's say roughly around 90, right? So I would finish college I'm 24 right now. After I get out of the Navy, go to school, I will finish at the age of 30. And then to close out my 20-year, military career, I had 5 years in the Navy. Then I will add 15 years as an officer. By the time I retire, I'll be 45, right? And the other day, I went on a website and typed in, they had like a little formula. I don't know how accurate it is, but after you retire, how much you will make on a monthly basis for your retirement pay as a retired Air Force officer. And when I calculated it, I would get right about $3,000 to $4,000, or sometimes $5,000. I forget exactly which one, but I think $4,000, rough estimate, every single month, right? At the age of 45, and I'm gonna live another 45 years, guesstimating, right? Assuming that I live till 90. You never know. I could die at 46, but as much as the YOLO concept exists, right? You kind of have to, plan long, but live life, accordingly. So assuming I live another 45 years, multiply, 12, I'm not going to do the math. Okay, I'm not going to do the math in my head. Actually, let me just write it down. So 45 years. So by the time I retire from the military, I'll be 45 years of age. And assuming I live till 90 with, medicine advancing, all that kind of stuff, I have another 45 years to live. And every single month, I would get paid roughly about $4,000, right? But as you age, as time progresses, the military actually pays you more money. But for easy numbers' sakes, we're just going to keep it 4,000. So 12 times 4,000 within a year, that'll be $48,000. But this is not after tax, by the way. This is not after tax. $45,000 a year, and then multiply that by 45 years. That's going to be, doing the math real quick, 1632, 3, 16, 9, 2160. Okay. So in the course of 45 years, right, I retire at 45 and then I'll die at 90, I will be making $2,160,000 from my retirement pay within the military. And when you do that, that's my math right there. Just did it on the fly, right? So by that long game concept, retiring in the military, I thought about, it's not a bad gig. So that's why I would consider being an officer, and I'm seriously considering being an officer. Christian, I hope that gave you some ideas. Do you get ripped in basic training? And about how much do people gaining? Ron, can you reiterate that question? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Will Casper asks, have you been to other countries? If so, I already answered that. Is it harder to be being in the Navy than, say, the Army and the Air Force because you have to live on the ship, therefore you can't cook your own food? Is it hard being in the Navy? And I don't know exactly the lifestyle of being in the Air Force. I've been to the Air Force Base and I've seen how they eat and I've seen how they live, right? I have not seen the Army and the Marine side, but sometimes Marines come to, there was a point where my ship provided food for the Marines. But I would say in terms of living quality, Air Force is the best. They're funded the best. And if you see some of the vloggers, the Air Force vloggers on YouTube, like living quality wise, they have it pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. They have their own room. They don't share a room with anybody else. And watching Kyle Gott, his adventures, they have it pretty good. Living in the ship, which it could be good or bad depending on the people that you live with. But living conditions, Navy, Air Force is number one, then Navy, then I don't know. It's basically at the bottom. Army and the Marines. Their sleeping situation isn't all too great. My brother's in the Army National Guards. But by the way, Army National Guards, my brother is having the time of his life, by the way, if anyone is interested in the reserves. So Army National Guards is the reserves, right? He's a medic, right? But he hasn't been into any combat, which he doesn't want to be, and I hope he doesn't too. And his deployments have been to other countries for joint peace missions. And I think that's pretty great. How long do you spend at sea? Curious to know why I'm scared about it. I might fear of cramped spaces on a ship. Blaze, I don't know about, small frigates and stuff like that, but how long? For me, my contract with my ship ends 2020 June. So in total, I'm with my ship for 4 years and 8 months. But if you're talking about deployments, it could be anywhere from underways could be a couple months, but deployments to go somewhere overseas in other countries, that could be anywhere from 3 months to 9 months to a few months more over that. I think the longest I've heard a ship has been on deployment was 16 months, so a year and 4 months. You come back. So if you come back as an officer, like you said, after 5 years, would that be being out of the military for a few and then coming back in? Yes. Or you would be in reserves or something? No. I would be. So if in the most ideal situation, right, I finish out my contract 2020 June, go back to school for the fall semester, and then I basically have my associates. I'm very close to it. So I would just only... Alright, there you go. It's back. Okay. So going back to your question, Anne. 2020, get out, go back to school. I would be a civilian, right? Not in the military, not in the reserves. If I wanted to, I could be in the reserves. That is an option and that is a choice, yes. But I would try to focus on school and not be, going on any deployments, because, you could be in the reserves, but they could actually send you on a deployment, right? So I don't want that chance. So I would get out, be inactive, and then finish out my school. While I'm in college, try to join their ROTC program, and then hopefully build a good resume, and then go to the Air Force officer recruiter, and then try to go in with that route. and especially in the Air Force and the officers, it's going to be very competitive. So I will have to build a very good resume, and being prior enlisted is probably going to help. Okay. I think people need to rethink YOLO. Instead of YOLO, let's do whatever people should think. We don't get to do this over again. We only live once. Let's make good decisions and do things right. So, and yes, I agree. I think about the long term, but sometimes I live in the short term, right? In the long term, it doesn't make sense for me to, go on these vacations and buy Disney, bought my parents a cruise. I spend a lot of money. In the long term, that doesn't make sense, right? In the long term, you should save that money. I would have $7,000, and I should have invested that money into my stocks and build more money for the long term. In the long term, it doesn't make sense, but in the short term, making memories and enjoying life, it makes sense. So long term, short term, that's how I like to look at things. I like to invest my money in the long term, but also invest in the short term into building memories. Then as that math skills coming in handy. I don't know if this has been asked, but how long have you been in the current active duty station, and when do you rotate? So Derry NYC, I have been December 2nd of this year, so past December 2nd was my exact 2.5 year mark. So basically, I'm at 2.5 years right now, and so I have another 2.5 year. I close out my contract of 5 years at June of 2020. So June 2nd of 2020 is when I'm officially done with the Navy. Do you like chicken? It's all right. I prefer pork. If I was to rotate out dairy, if I was to go on my short command, then I would have to re-enlist for another 3 years, and then April of 2020 is when I would rotate out, which is kind of weird how it works. If after your time is done, and then later in life decide to join the Air Force, will you have to do boot camp again? I'll have to do the Air Force version of officer training. But if I was to, let's say, go in as enlisted in the Air Force, then no, I would not have to do their Air Force boot camp because I'm already prior military. But for the officer route, it's going to be different, and yes. Unless I'm like a first class, but very, very frustrating. Sorry about the internet. It's slow. It's being stupid. It's very. Okay. But yeah, my brother's a medic, and he's EMT, riding the ambulances. Have you been deployed? Nope. How did you study for the ASVAB? I took online practice tests. In for Naval Academy, I think the age limit is 24. Yes, it's very competitive. You can come in as enlisted and try to apply for the Naval Academy, but like you have to have the top score and you have to be like the best. If you want to go to the Naval Academy, my best bet, if I was to do it, I'm not gonna, give you any advice on something that I didn't do. But if I was to try to do it with what I know now, while I'm a civilian, I would try to go into the Naval Academy and the much difficult route, in my opinion. It's much easier. just to try to go it straight while you're a civilian after high school, or let's say you graduated high school, go to college, go to I don't know, like a community college, bring your grades up, bring that GPA up, then apply for the Naval Academy. Hey, I bought myself an early Christmas present from Amazon. Was it a purchase? Will be here a couple days. Yeah, I have it. It's the bookshelf. I have it in my bookshelf right there. It's chilling. So I enjoyed that book. Got some very good concepts out of it. Did he enjoy basic and the AIT for being a medic? I never really asked, but I think he enjoys being a medic. I sometimes see his Facebook posts. He went to Europe. Lithuania was a country in Europe, by the way. I thought it was some kind of Middle Eastern sounding country, not to be ignorant or anything like that. Yeah. Very interesting. Guys, is my connection bad? Is it lagging? Is it freezing? Let me know if it is. Because, oh, the connection. It is bad. Man, I don't understand. Verizon sucks. Comcast isn't any greater. And that's the only two major internet providers in the country. That's very frustrating. Verizon and you guys suck. Okay, so to the Naval Academy, right? But instead going into the Naval Academy, it's extremely competitive. It's extremely, extremely competitive. The chances of you being accepted is not bright. Please, lagging again. Man, that's frustrating. J-Man. Clear. All right. No. All right, guys. I don't know if my internet is going to clear up and it's going to be okay. I think this is a very good point. Yeah, is it possible for you to type the response? Sorry, bro. Yeah. So I'm going to type the response, but I'm just going to close it out real quick. Guys, it's been an hour, so it's a pretty good point to end the live video. I'm going to type up the response. I'm going to be hanging out in the chat for a little bit, answer any questions there. But in the meantime, I am going to close it out. I'm going to be doing it again tomorrow. I don't know exactly what time. I got some hangouts that I gotta do with my friends. Try to do lives more often. I will. Alright, guys. So, like I said before, I'm going to be hanging around in the chats. So, if you have any questions, type it in there. And I'll see you tomorrow. And I hope you have a great Navy day. Are you still in the Navy and the military? Yes, I am.